Okay, I lay awake some nights wondering if we're at the end of civilization as we know it. I compare our times now with those of the collapse of the late Bronze Age. I've looked at that in a couple of videos already. What I want to look at today is different. Hi, my name is Steve. Welcome to Awake with Steve, where I talk about the things that keep me awake at night, wake me up in the middle of the night. Things that I just like my brain to play with. So, is today different? Is today different than the collapse of the Bronze Age? I tend to worry about that a lot. We don't know as much about it as we think we do. And it's filtered through 3.5 millennia of time. So what I want to do is take a look at this in this video is how are we different? And one of the things I've been playing around with is Microsoft's Copilot AI program. And I put that question to them. I put both how are we the same and how are we different? How we're the same? Yeah, it's a complex society, interconnected. Yeah, when we don't know much about it. Pretty much that's what they said, or what Copilot said. And when I asked what the differences were, I got, it was an interconnected society, and we're more interconnected across a larger portion of the, across the entire world now. So, yeah, and multiple stressors. Yeah, we've got multiple stressors here now. And then, of course, lessons for today. We don't know a lot about them, but there's certainly lessons in there to be learned. So I followed up on a couple of subsequent questions. Didn't really get a whole lot of resolution as far as what's different, what makes us different today. It's always a scary phrase to throw out, but this time it's different. Yeah, how so? So let's kind of tackle that. Let's kind of look at some of the stressors from that time versus the stressors now. The first thing is environmental change. They were in the middle of a 200 to 300 year drought that was in place before the collapse accelerated, before we noticed the collapse occurring. There was a series of a very, very numerous series of earthquakes throughout the region. Again, beginning before and during the collapse. How's that different from today? We've solved a lot of our environmental pollution problems. They're making the world healthier and better all the way around. They're also aggravating a problem that will have the same or greater magnitude than the drought in the Bronze Age, and that's the global warming issue. Okay, we're going into that now rather than having been weakened by it being in place already. And that, I think that's a big thing with the stressors in the late Bronze Age, is that they were weakened by environmental catastrophes already, environmental issues. I tend to look at the availability of bronze as an issue, kind of a coinage thing. They had to go to Afghanistan or Britain to get any type of tin in quantity, which is required for bronze. So when that was not available, became not available or not available in enough quantity, they can't make bronze in the quantity that they need. Okay, this is further aggravated by a refugee problem that they had. The environmental issues that were weakening the Eastern Mediterranean were throughout Northern Europe also, and Western Europe. And so there were refugees, I called the sea peoples, who came in to the Eastern Mediterranean with their families and goods. They couldn't live anymore where they were, so they came to where there were people living, where there was wealth, where there was food. And in the process, they actually helped to destroy the network that moved food around and kept everybody reasonably fed. They also destroyed the copper mines on Cyprus, which were a big source of copper. Not the only source, but it was a big source. So it weakened the bronze industry even more. And bronze would be a significant factor of building wealth, since you made all of your weapons, a lot of things out of bronze. So, and then I've mentioned the sea peoples, refugees. Oh, let's stay with the currency aspects. The American dollar is pretty much the currency in the world right now. The American economy is pretty much the largest, most robust economy in the world. You can make arguments about that. Look at China. It's coming up and it's huge, and the robustness of it is kind of questionable. It has to go through a consolidation period now. It grew so fast, and it switched from agriculture to manufacturing so fast that it needs to take a step back and reorganize its society. Japan had to do this. The U.S. did it back in the 30s. So that's going to have to happen. And for the U.S., it's already happened. So we've got the big economy. The biggest threat, I think, is internet. Another 5 to 10 years, we could be so dependent on the internet for all of our economic activity that if it goes down for some reason, for any length of time, we could be in big trouble. So there's that. Okay, sea peoples, refugees. Basically, they just overwhelmed the system, and they came in with new battle techniques. The civilized armies, if you will, fought with chariots, and they had their infantries there to help protect the chariots and give the chariots the room to take advantage of their mobility and power projection. So the sea peoples, I don't know for sure, but it's almost like they were just a freaking mob. And so they would just come in as infantry and overwhelm the well-organized civilized armies. New battle tactics. Steel weapons were available, easily made, didn't require bronze. So it was basically new technologies, new weapons, new tactics, in combination with refugee problem. And actually, that's pretty similar to where we are now. We have, as we're finding in Ukraine, we've got a whole new way of doing battle, of going to war, with drones and new tactics with long-range weapons. We add in some of the newer technologies, automated technologies that the U.S., China, and Soviet Union and other countries are working on, or not Soviet Union, but Russia. War's going to be a whole lot different. And some people talk about the democratization of weaponry. You don't need a huge manufacturing process to generate a lot of drones. And that will cause a lot of problems for any occupier, any government, any army, anything like that. Again, Ukraine is showing us that. You can slap drones together in hours, just off-the-shelf parts and cardboard. It's pretty amazing. So that's kind of more similarity today. Let's see. Sea peoples, environment, economic interconnectedness. the Sea Peoples, the warring in the Asiatic plains or the Asia mountains of Asia, cutting off the Afghani source of tin. A lot of things were happening that were disrupting the trade systems. Okay, what could that happen today? We're already doing that in a manner of speaking. We've got the Houthis, we've got the Panama Canal is so dry now that we can't send big ships through or very many ships at a time. We've got the war in Afghanistan, in Ukraine. We've got the Israeli war in the Middle East, although that's always normal. There are lots of ways that the global system is being disrupted. I'm not sure that it's being disrupted fast enough for us to not adapt to the new systems. In the U.S., we're basically fortifying, bringing in industries back into North America. We've got Mexico, we've got Canada, and now we're looking at bringing some South American countries into free trade zones, if we haven't already, so that they can add another element to our manufacturing base. You've got Southeast Asia, of course, is still fantastically integrated manufacturing base. Europe is readjusting to having to get their energy supplies from someplace other than Russia. So we'll have to see on that. In general, I've been rambling on here again for a while. In general, I think that what we have that makes it different is knowledge. One, we've seen it happen before. Two, we have a far better understanding of complex systems, and we have a history that we're aware of keenly as a complex system. And this is kind of new to a lot of people, but we have groups working on understanding how to manage complex systems, like the ecosystem, like the economy. We have science and technology. So we have the means to adapt to and modify a planet that is increasingly hostile to us as the temperature increases. We have the means and technology to replace populations as they decline. We have the means to actually alter international trade lines, trade methodologies, and communications. So we, in many respects, we have the knowledge and the technology to address all of these problems. And I suspect that we have the economic means to do that. I wanted to say financing, but we're going to have to borrow out the wazoo to do this, since so many governments in the world are already in debt. But that foreknowledge and the fact that we have not been weakened by the environmental disasters that we're facing, we haven't been weakened already. So we have a little bit of time, very little bit of time, to realign our priorities and solve the problems, take responsibility for the planet, basically. And I think we can do that. I think we're moving in that direction now. There are still some groups of people that want to go back to the old ways that got us to where we are now. Yeah, that'll work. And they're going to be, they're already losing power. They've seen their heyday, if you will, both in the US and internationally. So, yeah, I think this time we'll come through. And yes, we will be a different civilization on the other side. That will be necessary just to meet the demands of what we have to go through. So, do I still worry about it? Yeah, but not as much. This is like, okay, there are solutions here. We have choices to make, and if we make the reasonable choices, make reasonable decisions, we'll come out the other side and we'll be okay. So there's that. So that's for today. See you. Have a good week.